panel together to look at some of the continuities as well as some of the changes. And my role was to highlight continuities. Hamza introduced the basic thesis of this idea that Ethiopia doesn't stand alone. This is Ethiopia, and all those who are suffering within that region are facing not just internal but external powers, external forces, external resources, external ideologies. And of course the background in the building of the state is integral to that. But as I've been sitting here, I am thinking that we don't have to underscore what needed to be underscored 20 years ago. You know, the central vital role of foreign powers in building this and in sustaining this. You know, this is a train. This is a train that's going steadily to prove this basic thesis. And now we look. I think it's important to look not just at that we can click off all the continuities. We can look at every feature that was highlighted 20 years ago. We were trying to figure out whether the Oromos had been colonized or not. You know, this was a debate. But to look at how the successive Ethiopian regimes have continued to be in the hands of those who originally were part of the construction of that apparatus, and maintaining an alliance with superpower, providing a basis for growth and protection of the class that is handling that instrument and maintaining control over the majority of the populations, maintaining that really strong or that massive population. We've emphasized we've got 90 million people in this area. Still, massive amounts are agricultural. The Oromo, listening to this, you can begin to despair that so much power is concentrated, which it is, in hands of people who are well established. But I would like to come back and remind us that superpowers are not monolithic. That Ethiopia is not monolithic. The people sitting in this room are aware of the fact that the Oromo have enormous resources of people, have a potential contribution to democracy, have a voice that can speak out to highlight the cracks in the system. Anyone who's looked very closely at this system knows that this is a brittle operation, that there is still a strain to control what's going on and to manage what goes on in the countryside. Mohammed told us this morning that the technologies of a cell phone in the hand of a Kabyle person can track every single visitor to every single Kabyle in the empire. So what we can track visitors, we can track and dispense state benefits and economic benefits to people, demand party affiliation, but there is unhappiness. The reason we're facing massive human rights violations is because people are standing up. People are resisting. People have hope based in another kind of a system. And I think that the questions that we need to raise, and I will open this for questions we need to raise with Eskiel as he's presenting us this really powerful case and extremely helpful description of what China is doing. You know, what about the other players there? What is the amount of resource that's coming in from other locations? What are the other links that exist within? How does the Chinese investment compare with others? And you didn't speculate you didn't offer an answer to the question, why is it that the Chinese are in this region so so completely? You had speculated that Sesame seed is not going to pay this back. Strategic interests are not explaining this. Is it the need of the Chinese, or is it the need of the Ethiopians? And how do we characterize that? Is there an area for specific research into this relationship that you could identify, that we could push some of these questions forward or further along? I'm very impressed with Jawar's work as well. He's brought to us, he's opening a new area of study that gives us a window into many possibilities. And I would just ask, when you're talking about at the end about human rights and the fact that we've got what we can do to promote, what do you think is the role of the West? You say that Oromo should actually turn away from the West. Is there any positive alliance that you can see building? I'd like to propose something that I'm just beginning to explore. At one point in the introduction of this book, there was a promise made that we would look at self-determination, exploring the bases of self-determination. And over the years, many different papers have been written going in that direction. But most recently, what I've come to take hope in is that the Oromo has something extremely valuable to offer, not only in the region, but in the world. The legacy, the worldview, the paradigm that the Oromo bring, which is an earth-loving, a peace-building, and a nurturing set of principles, is a type, it can be seen as a type of theology, a type of precepts that have an appeal and will gain the respect and the engagement and the participation of a very different sector within the first world and the second. That there's a whole movement against these forms of power, not just in America, in Britain, but there are enormous proliferation of energy-saving, earth, human rights groups, and alternative coalitions that are finding ways to resist the powerful forces that we have described here, and to present what the Oromo have developed in that region of the world, and to gain respect for that, and to look at that as an alternative way to build civil society, to use that as to gain alliances in the first world, to claim the space that hasn't been completely. It may be monitored, but it hasn't been completely controlled. It can't be completely controlled. To begin to provide alliances, communication, and hope to other sectors within the first world. That this is something that is a very real possibility, and I think would take a focus of scholars, a focus of people who are intimately familiar with these precepts and have respect for them, and begin to open that up. The Oromo culture produced Gada itself. Gada is a product. It's not a fixed. It is not the. It is an outcome. It's not it's not what generated. It was generated by Oromo principles, and other approaches can be generated and should be looked at and explored by those of us who really can see the potential for gaining international alliances under the radar screen. And when some of the brittleness is exposed within Ethiopia, there will be a better sympathy and a respect and a knowledge for what Oromo bring to the table. So I just like to lay that on the table so that we don't forget about that. It's a statement of hope that matches what Trevor raised this morning. It's up to us to focus where we will do our studies, where we really need to encourage our students and pick our own next projects. And I think that we need to continue to focus on what it is that the Oromo bring that is defensible and that is actually a positive contribution to the discussion.